Task with me, Molly Gambhir. Let's get started. Our top focus tonight on Gravitas remains on the Delhi blast probe. We are getting you the details, the key questions, what is known about that terror module so far, who all have been arrested. We also tell you about a major bioterror plot in India that has emerged and the measures being taken across the country, unpacking all of this for you over the next few minutes. The Red Fort blast probe is taking a dramatic new turn. The spotlight has now shifted to one of the arrested individuals. Dr. Shaheen, a former medical professor, was allegedly plotting to build a suicide squad to carry out coordinated terror attacks across India under Jaish-e-Mohammed's banner. You heard that right. Sources have told WION that Dr. Shaheen, arrested from Faridabad, had reportedly been collecting explosives for the past 2 years. And during the interrogation, she is believed to have confessed that she, along with a group of fellow doctors, was planning terror strikes across India. Just for context here, Dr. Shaheen was arrested for her alleged role in what officials call a white-collar terror module. Basically, a network of educated professionals allegedly working to revive sleeper cells in India. And the investigators believe that her role could be a big link in the chain after bomber Umar, who is suspected to have driven that Hyundai i20 that exploded near the Red Fort on Monday. And sources saying Shaheen's task basically was to create a suicide bomber squad, using her credibility and background to expand the terror network's recruitment base. The daughter of a retired health department employee, Dr. Shaheen is now the face of that terror plot, with links possibly stretching from Faridabad to the Red Fort blast site in Delhi. And the investigators suspect the Faridabad module may be linked to that car explosion that killed at least 8 people and injured 20 others. What's more, the investigative agencies believe that Sadia Azhar, the sister of Jaish-e-Mohammed founder Masood Azhar, who heads the women's wing in Pakistan, may have directly assigned the task to Dr. Shaheen. Sadia's husband, Yusuf Azhar, was in fact one of the masterminds behind the 1999 Kandahar hijacking. Security officials say Dr. Shaheen was in contact with handlers across the border through secret social media channels, tasked with expanding Jaish-e-Mohammed's recruitment base by mobilizing sympathizers to support the terror group's activities in India. Now, all of these details coming in as the Indian investigative agencies probe the deadly Red Fort blast that has put the entire country on edge. Remember, on Monday, November 10, that massive blast in a Hyundai i20 near Delhi's iconic Red Fort left at least 8 people dead. CCTV footage showing a masked driver, the car carrying a Haryana registration number. The explosion followed a string of seizures across states. Nearly 350 kilograms of explosives and AK-47 rifle, thousands of rounds of ammunition recovered in coordinated raids by Haryana, Jammu and Kashmir, the Intelligence Bureau. In fact, the authorities are now probing whether the Red Fort car bomber was part of the same Faridabad-based module. That module had yielded an additional 360 kilograms of inflammable material and roughly 3,000 kilograms of IED making material. All evidence that basically points to a well-organized, resource-rich terror network operating under the radar. The police have described this as part of a white-collar terror ecosystem, with suspected links to Pakistan-based Jaish-e-Mohammed and Al-Qaeda-linked Ansar Ghazwat-ul-Hind. We've been telling you about this. Now, it is Dr. Shaheen's profile that is shocking many. Naturally, the woman who studied medicine, worked as a lecturer and was allegedly running a secret mission to create India's first female suicide squad. Earlier in Lucknow, the Uttar Pradesh Anti-Terrorism Squad and the National Investigation Agency jointly raided her family home, interrogated her father, her brother. Mohammad Shoaib says he is in disbelief. Listen to this.
नहीं, हमारे तवज्जो देखिए बिल्कुल सीधी बात है कि जाए इन गतिविधियों में हमारे भाई बहन बिल्कुल लिप्त नहीं है। 4 साल से जो मतलब मैं संपर्क में था, उसके बाद ये 4 साल के बाद ये मैं संपर्क में नहीं डॉक्टर परवेज जो यहाँ नहीं आते थे। कब से उनसे भी 3 साल से आना जाना बंद है।
Now, multiple agencies are piecing together Shaheen's trajectory from being a government doctor to allegedly becoming a key figure in a Pakistan-linked network. Investigators believe Dr. Shaheen's arrest has exposed how educated professionals were being used to give legitimacy to terror operations. For now, the way things stand, Dr. Shaheen's arrest is being seen as a turning point in this investigation, a case that's revealing how terror networks are evolving from traditional camps to what the authorities now call white-collar terror. Educated professionals, doctors, individuals with access, credibility, so-called credibility, and reach, allegedly turning to extremist networks in such way. And the woman once known as Dr. Shaheen may have been plotting India's first pan-national suicide squad. The probe is continuing, of course, with the NIA, the Delhi police, Jammu and Kashmir police coordinating across states in India to try and dismantle what appears to be one of the most sophisticated terror modules uncovered in recent years. And as India tries to unravel and look into the perpetrators of the deadly Red Fort blast, a new dangerous bioterror plot has surfaced. A silent killer, a poison so lethal that a grain the size of salt can stop a human heart. And now it's been weaponized on Indian soil. Indian authorities have exposed the country's first ever bioterror plot. We're getting you the details of that operation in this report.
Three men, 4 states, 1 deadly mission. When Gujarat ATS nabbed Syed Ahmed Mohideen near Ahmedabad, they didn't just find weapons, they discovered something far more sinister. Hidden among 2 Glock pistols, a Beretta and 30 live rounds was 4 liters of castor oil. Not for cooking, but for killing. Mohideen, an MBBS graduate from China, wasn't planning a robbery. He was manufacturing resin, a very dangerous poison. Experts say resin is one of the deadliest biological agents known to man. Extracted from castor beans, just a few milligrams can kill within hours. It attacks vital organs, leading to internal bleeding and organ failure. There is no antidote. It's cheap, it's easy to conceal, and almost impossible to trace after ingestion. The perfect weapon for terror. Investigators have now confirmed that Pakistan-based ISKP handler Abdul Khadija taught Mohideen the entire process of making resin through online chat. Investigation has also revealed that Mohideen wasn't acting alone. 2 others, part of the same Pakistan-backed module, had already conducted reconnaissance in crowded markets of Delhi, Lucknow and Ahmedabad.
काफ़ी रेडिकल मेंटलिटी है इसकी ये भारत में मोटे प्रमाण में मतलब बड़ी लोगों को नुकसान पहुंचा पाए इस तरह की आतंकवादी घटना को अंजाम देना चाहता था। इसके लिए बहुत सारे फॉरेनर्स के कांटेक्ट में था। अभी जिस व्यक्ति के साथ इसका सबसे ज़्यादा लाइव कम्युनिकेशन था वो एक अब्बू खदीजा नाम से एक टेलीग्राम आईडी थी जिसके साथ एक कांटेक्ट में था, जिसे अपना आमिर मानता था। अब्बू खदीजा जो है वो ISKP का हो सकता है, ऐसा इसका मानना है।
Now, ATS teams from Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan and Telangana are jointly interrogating the suspects. Over 250 photos and videos have been recovered. For now, the bioterror plot has been nipped in the bud. The central government has been alerted. Counter-intelligence units are scanning for sleeper cells possibly embedded in multiple states. The discovery has shaken security agencies. Proof that Pakistan's terror networks are now experimenting with biological weapons. For India, the recent scare isn't just a terror case, it's a grim reminder. Bioterrorism has arrived at its doorstep. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
And our correspondents on the ground have been tracking those developments very closely. Take a look at these reports sent by our correspondents.
I'm reporting from outside the Al-Falah University. This is the university from where Dr. Muzammil, Dr. Umar, Dr. Shaheen, they all worked here. Dr. Umar is at large, the other two have been arrested along with a number of other doctors who all find some kind of a link back to this university. This university has been in the center of the storm ever since the blast outside the Red Fort on the 10th of November. Just 500 meters from here is the storeroom where at least 2,900 kilograms of ammonium nitrate, explosive material, was found hours before that Delhi blast. As we speak, the NIA, the UP ATS, the Haryana Police Special Cell, the police officials from Delhi, they're all inside in this university and the search is going on. We've seen number of cars, even from Jammu and Kashmir, the police officials there, they are here in this university searching the campus and the probe is continuing. We will be tracking this very closely. For now, that's all. I'm Shivan Charna reporting for WION World is One with Ajit, camera person.
Jammu and Kashmir police have intensified their operations across the Kashmir Valley after the Faridabad terror module bust as well as the Red Fort blast. Jammu and Kashmir police carried out multiple raids across various parts of the Kashmir Valley and around 3 doctors were picked up in connection with the Faridabad terror module bust for questioning. The family members of Dr. Muzammil were also picked up for questioning by Jammu and Kashmir police. Meanwhile, the DNA sampling of Dr. Umar's mother and brother were taken to Delhi, while as both mother and father were left and released to go back to their home. On the other hand, we've seen that around 230 places were raided by Jammu and Kashmir police, especially on the houses of the Jamaat-e-Islami members. It's a banned organization in Kashmir and the former members were raided by Jammu and Kashmir police. According to Jammu and Kashmir police, 500 people were questioned with regard to that as well.
All right, while we will keep keeping a close eye on the latest coming in, more breaking inputs coming in right this minute on the Delhi blast probe in what is being said to be a sleeper cell crackdown. 9 reported to have been taken into custody from Kanpur. That's the latest coming in at this point. All learned to be linked or associated with Dr. Shaheen in some way or the other. We just told you about the investigation focusing on Dr. Shaheen's role as well. Now, her husband, who has said that she separated after she wanted to go abroad, if she visited abroad, and the purpose, all of these under investigation as well. Let's go straight across now to our correspondent Dharamjot Kaur, who's been tracking those developments. What more can you share with us at this point?
Well, Molly, this is an increasing crackdown. The one in Kanpur, as you just mentioned, where 9 have been detained, this has come just a day after 7 were detained in Lucknow. Now, it's important to note here, when I was on ground on the day that the explosion happened, UP ATS officials had reached just within hours of that explosion at 6:52 p.m. on Monday evening. So the anti-terror squad from Uttar Pradesh has been very, very deeply involved in the investigation since the word go. Now, it remains to be seen how far this expands further into different cities and states. We've seen a crackdown in Lucknow. We're seeing one in Kanpur right now. All of this is happening along with the entire investigation into the Faridabad module, the investigation into the car that was involved in this explosion, investigation into the identity confirmation of the person who was in that car, the Hyundai i20 that is in question, investigation into the second car that is now in the picture, a red Ford vehicle that police apprehended just a few hours ago from a village in Faridabad. So there's a lot of crackdown that's happening simultaneously as it's all hands on deck with several agencies involved in this particular investigation. But as you rightly pointed out, all of this is now being linked back to Dr. Shaheen, the one that we just spoke at length about. Now, there's not a lot of information that's coming from her family because in terms of her ex-husband, they were divorced more than 10 years ago. There's not a lot that he knows about her presently. The brother, as you mentioned, has not spoken to her in years. The parents just occasionally checked onto her, checked on her for her well-being. So there's not a lot that we're getting from the family front. But as the investigation goes further, we're learning that more and more cities, more and more pockets across not just Uttar Pradesh but also other parts of the country, there is a simultaneous crackdown happening, because now the question is not just about what and why and how the explosion happened near Red Fort. The question is also about how widespread this entire network is, for how long it has been functioning. Now, just to give a little bit of context here, Molly, a lot of dates have been in circulation now as the probe goes on further. A lot of significant dates like 26th of January from this year, that is a date that is being taken into consideration. Maybe there was a plan to have an attack around that time. Then came the date of Diwali, that is under speculation. Was there an attack planned around that time? The date of December 6th, which is yet to come, which is the anniversary of the Babri Mosque demolition, that date is also doing the rounds as a possible angle of investigation in terms of understanding were this nexus planning an attack during this period of time. So all of those are still questions. There's no formal statement. There's no confirmed answer to these questions yet. But all of these angles, all of these possibilities are currently under probe to understand what exactly was the intent and magnitude of the blast that was planned, because we still don't know if the explosion that happened on Monday evening happened as per plan or was it an accident, Molly.
Right. We're leaving it there for the moment. Thanks very much for those updates for now. We'll of course keep a close eye on all of those details trickling in on the Delhi blast probe. But we're shifting focus for now. Pakistan's Minister of Defense Khwaja Asif has accused Afghanistan of involvement in the Islamabad blast that killed at least 12 people and injured dozens. Time and again, Pakistan has accused Afghanistan of sheltering the TTP and using its soil to launch attacks on Pakistani soil. And Taliban has repeatedly denied any role in these attacks. Khwaja Asif said, quoting, "We are in a state of war." He further emphasized how the rulers of Kabul can stop terrorism in Pakistan, quote unquote. Now, this is as survivors of the suicide bombing described scenes of carnage as officials vowed to rein in militancy.
We parked our van right in front of the gate. It was a very sudden blast. When I saw outside, it was chaos and panic.
And earlier in the day, Taliban leadership of Afghanistan banned trade and transit of goods with Pakistan. Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar, the Taliban Deputy Prime Minister for Economic Affairs, has announced that the group will no longer allow the import of Pakistani goods into Afghanistan, including pharmaceutical products. Leaders of the Pakistani Taliban offshoot Jamaat-ul-Ahrar and Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan rejected the claims linking them to suicide bombing in Islamabad that killed 12 people. Jamaat-ul-Ahrar's senior leader, Sarbakaf Mohammad, and the TTP spokesperson have issued separate statements, in fact, denying any involvement in the Islamabad attack. This is after the Pakistani authorities, remember, blamed Jamaat-ul-Ahrar for the bombing, saying that the Pakistani Taliban splinter group had claimed responsibility for that attack in a statement. But shortly after, Sarbakaf Mohammad, a commander from the group, sent WhatsApp messages insisting that the group had not made any such claim. That's not all. The TTP also issued a statement distancing itself from the attack. Its spokesman has said that the Tehreek-e-Taliban has no connection with that explosion. Cities burning once again on Ukraine's eastern front. Russian armor storming forward like desert raiders, using fog as a shadow in a way. Russian troops are rushing forward. Pokrovsk, once a mining hub, is turning into a graveyard of machines and men. Our next report getting you the latest from the battle zone.
It looks straight out of a movie scene. Russian forces ride into a key Ukrainian city through fog on battered vehicles. Soldiers on motorbikes, some perched on the roofs of cars. Steel beasts rolling through rubble. Russia's armored columns have smashed through the industrial outskirts of Pokrovsk, grinding past wrecked Ukrainian trenches and burnt-out tanks. Thick smoke chokes the streets as drones howl overhead. Ukraine's defenders are falling back, exhausted, bloodied, and running out of shells. For months, Pokrovsk was the shield of Donetsk. Now it's a crumbling fortress. Russian troops flying flags and welded armor onto trucks have punched into the heart of the city. Russian forces have cut off supply lines, seized fuel depots, and pushed the Ukrainians into a desperate retreat. The battlefield is chaos, drone strikes, radio silence, and cries for evacuation. Further south in Zaporizhia, Moscow's forces are tightening the vice. Ukrainian brigades, battered and outgunned, are pulling back from key ridgelines under relentless Russian pressure. Thousands have been forced to redeploy to plug crumbling defenses. The line is bending dangerously. Beyond the front lines, Russia continues its aerial bombardment. These are the latest images from Kharkiv. Locals say the attacks have become a recurring nightmare.
So this is what happened. We heard the air defense, then we heard Shahids. Went into the shelter, and then there were 3 hits. Basically that's all.
Regarding the consequences of the attack on the city of Kharkiv, 3 Shahids hit their targets. There was a hit on an industrial enterprise that has nothing to do with the military. 20 residential buildings were also damaged.
Kyiv knows what Pokrovsk means. Lose it and Ukraine loses control of its eastern lifeline. Moscow gains a launch pad deeper into the Ukrainian heartland. The fall could shatter morale, drain ammunition, and change the course of the war. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
All right, and more breaking developments coming in this minute. In a WION exclusive, former Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has launched a scathing attack on the interim government led by Mohammad Yunus, accusing him of courting Islamabad while trying to erase the legacy of her father, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Hasina, who was ousted from power last year, remember, told WION Sidhant Sibil that Yunus's outreach to Pakistan reflects, in her words, a desperate and unstrategic desire for international validation, quote unquote. And she also warned that Pakistan has still not apologized for the atrocities of 1971, even as Dhaka-Islamabad ties deepen under Yunus. Let's go straight across now to Sidhant Sibil, who's with us on the broadcast. Sidhant, over to you. What more can you tell us about that?
A significant interview by Bangladesh former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to WION, in which she spoke about the ongoing engagement between Pakistan and between Bangladesh. Now, Pakistan-Bangladesh relationship is a very complex relationship. Remember, Bangladesh was once East Pakistan, and under Mujibur Rahman, who was the father of Sheikh Hasina, the country got liberation. Now, today, Yunus is in many ways not only engaging with the Pakistani establishment, but disowning Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's legacy. She basically slammed that and said that Pakistan never apologized for the atrocities committed in 1971, yet Yunus is quoting Islamabad while trying to erase Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's name. Remember that recently we saw the historic house of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman being vandalized. She spoke about that as well, said the burning of my father's house was symbolic of what is happening across Bangladesh. This was an attempt to destroy our nation's founding principles and history. She slammed the Yunus government, especially when it comes to the upcoming elections. She said that when it comes to the upcoming elections, they cannot be free, fair and inclusive if the ban on Awami League, that's a party, is maintained. Remember that one of the decisions taken by Yunus was to ban the party, which was, of course, in power for several years. She also, of course, spoke about how Awami League has been elected and then never seized power by unconstitutional means. She said that while we have an interim government, it itself is an unelected government prohibiting the party, that's Awami League, from the Democrat, which is, of course, a party that has in the past democratically chosen. So a significant interview, and coming at a time when we know that earlier today, the Indian Deputy High Commissioner Pawan Bhare was summoned by the Bangladeshi government for the interviews that Sheikh Hasina has given so far to other media outlets.
All right, leaving it there. Thanks very much for that. On to the other key focus. After months of tough talk, sweeping immigration crackdowns, US President Donald Trump has signaled a rather softening of stance. In a Fox News interview aired on Tuesday, Trump appeared to admit what many Americans have long argued, that the US needs skilled foreign workers to stay competitive. This is the same Trump administration that in September imposed a $100,000 application fee on H-1B visas, drawing lawsuits from business groups and outrage from corporate America. But now, in what seems like a major reversal, Trump says long-term unemployed Americans cannot simply be trained overnight to take on complex roles in sensitive areas like defense and manufacturing. Pressed by the Fox News host about whether foreign worker visas would remain a priority, the US president said, I'm quoting here, "You do have to bring in talent," quote unquote. And when the host pushed back, insisting the US had plenty of talent already, Trump disagreed, arguing that you cannot take people off an unemployment line and put them to work making missiles, quote unquote. Now, the H-1B visa, used widely by US tech giants and manufacturing firms, remember, has long been a backbone of America's skilled labor force. Indian nationals received over 70% of approved H-1B visas in 2024, which shows just how deeply tied Indian talent really is to the American tech ecosystem. But the Trump administration's visa fee hike, coupled with an aggressive deportation drive, as well as the raids on factories employing foreign workers, rattled both industry and international partners. The most high-profile fallout came in Georgia, where a raid on a Hyundai LG battery plant reportedly led to the detention of more than 300 South Korean workers. And the move sparked a diplomatic row, remember, with Seoul, forcing the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, to step in and reassure South Korea that its investments remained welcome. Trump, however, defended those raids, saying that the U.S. needed to ensure that companies investing billions in America were not relying on undocumented workers. Yet, in the same breath, he acknowledged that some roles like battery making or missile production require specific expertise that simply cannot be replaced by domestic hiring alone. Observers also say this latest statement underscores the growing tension between Trump's hardline immigration policy and America's economic and industrial ambitions. It's a tacit admission, in a way. The United States, even under its most restrictive immigration agenda, cannot shut its doors on global talent. China, meanwhile, has accused the United States of orchestrating one of the largest crypto heists in history. The theft of Bitcoin, worth nearly $13 billion. Beijing's cybersecurity agency, in fact, claimed that the operation was state-sponsored and not the work of ordinary cyber criminals. Now, according to China's National Computer Virus Emergency Response Center, the 2020 hack of the Luobian Bitcoin mining pool, which saw over 127,000 Bitcoins stolen, was a state-level hacker operation led by the United States. That's what they're claiming. Now, the agency says the quiet and delayed movement of the stolen coins suggests that there was government involvement, not typical black market trading behavior. That's the other accusation. Now, China's report basically links the stolen Bitcoin to assets later seized by the U.S. Department of Justice, which said they were tied to Cambodian tycoon Chen Zi, the chairman of the Prince Group. Chen was charged in October with wire fraud, money laundering in New York. The U.S. indictment had alleged Chen and his associates used illicit funds to run large-scale crypto mining operations, including Luobian. But Chinese investigators claim Washington itself hacked and confiscated the coins. The Chinese report calls it a black eats black operation, implying that the U.S. government stole the same Bitcoin it accused Chen of laundering. That's massive. And for context here, the U.S. Justice Department's forfeiture action against Chen's assets of over 127,000 Bitcoins is the largest crypto seizure in American history. Prosecutors, in fact, have refused to comment on how or when they obtained the coins. China, meanwhile, has ramped up its cyber accusations against Washington, earlier alleging U.S. hacks on Microsoft Exchange servers and China's National Time Service Center. Chen's legal team has meanwhile denied wrongdoing, reportedly calling the U.S. allegations seriously misguided. His lawyer says that they are working with crypto experts to trace the stolen Bitcoin. Now, as the world's two largest powers accuse each other of hacking, this latest charge adds yet another layer of tension to the U.S.-China cyber rivalry. It's a proud moment for India, carrying the spirit of India's rich culture and devotion to the global stage once again. Sounds of Kumbh, the spiritual music album inspired by the Mahakumbh festival, has brought glory home with a Grammy nomination in the Best Global Music Album category at the 68th Grammy Awards. Presented by singer and composer Siddhant Bhatia, This extraordinary 12-track album beautifully captures the essence, the energy, also the emotion of the Mahakumbh. The world's largest spiritual gathering held early this year in Prayagraj, where more than 600 million devotees, remember, came together celebrating faith. Sounds of Kumbh is a soulful blend of ancient chants, live recordings, contemporary compositions, all woven together to create what critics are calling a sonic memoir of the Mahakumbh. Produced by Soul Track Studios in New Delhi, the album also uses the beats. It offers listeners a truly immersive and meditative experience. 7 producers joined hands for that grand collaboration. If Sound of Kumbh if it wins, then a new name could soon join the elite list of Grammy greats, from A.R. Rahman, who won for the Slumdog Millionaire soundtrack, to tabla legend Zakir Hussain, who brought home Grammys for Planet Drum and Global Drum Project. There is also Ricky Kish, whose Winds of Samsara and Divine Tides resonated worldwide. Maestro Zubin Mehta, honored for his timeless classical recordings. Also, Ravi Shankar, Sitar Maestro, won multiple Grammys, including a Lifetime Achievement Award, while Anila Vaswani was recognized for the audiobook. In fact, singer Falguni Shah bagged the honor for A Colorful World in 2022. Tanvi Shah made history for her vocals in Jai Ho from Slumdog Millionaire. From the sacred ghats of Prayagraj to the world's most prestigious music stage, Sounds of Kumbh is not just an album. It is India's soul in sound. It is a celebration of faith, unity, and creativity. Washington ramped up its military presence in South American waters. It has deployed its largest carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier, along with 3 accompanying warships. Officials say the move is aimed at strengthening counter-narcotics operations. But analysts warn the size and scope of this deployment signals more than just a fight against drugs. It's a show of power in a region already fraught with tensions. Venezuela, for that matter, has responded with an unprecedented mobilization. The president has ordered nearly 200,000 troops into action, deploying land, air, naval, missile forces, effectively placing the nation on maximum alert. In fact, the country says it is prepared to defend its sovereignty against any threat. The message is absolutely clear. Any misstep by Washington as such could trigger a serious confrontation. And this escalation coming on the heels of a series of U.S. strikes on vessels suspected of carrying drugs from South America to Washington. Since early September, in fact, at least 75 people have been killed in these operations. Critics, including regional governments, human rights organizations, argue that many of those targeted are civilians, not armed combatants, and raises serious concern about violations of international law and questions of accountability, they allege. In fact, across the Atlantic, the UK has reportedly paused intelligence sharing with Washington, fearing that its data could be used to support these lethal strikes. Canada has also stepped back, continuing general counter-narcotics cooperation but refusing to assist in targeting operations. This rare divergence among long-standing allies highlights the diplomatic strain caused by the US campaign and the growing unease over the legality and the human cost of these operations. In fact, the Trump administration insists these measures are necessary. Officials say the strikes are intended to disrupt transnational drug networks and prevent narcotics from reaching U.S. cities. Yet, with a heavily armed carrier strike group in the region, the campaign's scale has alarmed lawmakers and experts alike, who basically warn that it could escalate tensions far beyond drug interdiction. And as this rift widens, the stakes are high. The U.S. framing its actions as a fight for security and stability, while allies and neighbors caution that the human, legal and also the diplomatic costs may outweigh any benefits as such. Inside the Kremlin, a dynasty is taking shape. From top government posts to key positions in state-linked companies, over 20 of President Putin's relatives reportedly now wield significant power. And such influence across Russia has never been felt before, reportedly. An investigation showing that beyond relatives, even Putin's ex-wife and former partners reportedly have benefited from their ties to the former KGB officer. And the website warns that the scale of nepotism under Putin could rival any regime since Tsar Nicholas II. At the top of this network is Anna Sivilova, daughter of Putin's late cousin, who became Deputy Defense Minister in the year 2024. Her husband, who is ex-governor of the coal-rich Kemerovo region, was appointed energy minister just a month earlier. Ukrainian intelligence suggesting that her role may include monitoring the defense ministry for corruption and disloyalty, reporting directly to the Russian president. Her extended family is also deeply embedded in business. Her son, from a previous marriage with Dmitry Loganov, runs companies tied to her Kolmar coal mining empire, allegedly. Her brother, Mikhail Putin, is an executive at Gazprom, while his son, Denis Putin, holds stakes in a business complex, reportedly, which houses several state companies. Other beneficiaries, including cousins Igor Putin, Lyubov Kroglova, whose son Viktor Kamarin now heads one of Russia's largest electricity firms. Even Putin's adult daughters, with his ex-wife, are stepping into the spotlight. Both appeared at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum last year, while Vorontsova gave a rare interview highlighting the supreme value of human life in Russia. The president is also said to have two young sons with former gymnast Alina Kabayeva and a daughter with Svetlana, who has transformed from a former cleaner to a luxury ski resort owner with stakes in Kremlin-linked banks. While expansive, Putin's family network pales in a way as compared to, say, Chechenya's Kremlin-backed leader, Ramzan Kadyrov, who has installed 96 relatives reportedly in government or state enterprises. Kadyrov's 17-year-old son, who holds at least 7 official positions and was recently named the head of Chechenya's Security Council. From the corridors of the Kremlin to state companies across Russia, Putin's dynasty is growing reportedly, intertwining family with power like never before. A stark reminder in a way of how deeply personal ties shape the Russian state. On a brightly lit stage in Barcelona, the crowd erupts as Roya Karimi steps forward. Once a teenage mother and child bride in Afghanistan, she has gone on to become one of Europe's top bodybuilders. At just 15, Roya was married off as a child in Afghanistan. As a teenage mother, she was trapped in a life with strict social restrictions where even the simplest freedoms like education or exercise were denied to girls. Yet, she dared to dream. In 2011, she escaped Afghanistan with her mother and young son and took refuge in Norway. The early years were a struggle, a new language, a foreign culture, the daunting task of rebuilding her life from scratch. She trained, she studied, and eventually became a nurse. But it was bodybuilding that truly transformed her life. What started out as a way to stay fit became a path to reclaim her body, her identity, her freedom. Her journey to that competitive stage was fast and fearless. Less than 2 years ago, she took the bold step of leaving her nursing career behind to pursue bodybuilding professionally. Supported by her husband, who himself is a bodybuilder, she shattered personal and cultural barriers. Her victories have been nothing short of meteoric. She claimed gold at the Stockholm Open, triumphed at the Norway Classic 2025, earned her place at the World Bodybuilding Championships as well. She hopes to use her achievements to inspire Afghan women, many of whom remain trapped under severe restrictions since the Taliban's return. From being a child bride in Afghanistan to a European bodybuilding championship, her journey is a story of triumph against all odds, to say the least. It's living proof that determination can rewrite your destiny. Italian prosecutors in Milan have launched an investigation into allegations that some Italian citizens paid to join Bosnian Serbian forces and shoot civilians for fun during the siege of Sarajevo in the early 1990s. The probe led by the prosecutor focuses on what have been called weekend snipers, who are foreigners allegedly and mainly far-right sympathizers with a passion for weapons. These snipers allegedly traveled to the hills surrounding Sarajevo to fire on the besieged city's residents after paying Bosnian Serb militants. In fact, the siege of Sarajevo, one of the longest in modern history, lasted from 1992 to 1996 and claimed over 11,000 lives. The allegations under investigation include extreme acts of cruelty, with witnesses claiming that payments were even differentiated depending on whether victims were civilian soldiers or children. The case was triggered by a complaint filed in January by a journalist supported by lawyers and former magistrate. The complaint compiles testimonies, intelligence reports, documents detailing the presence of Italians in Sarajevo as early as 1993. One report claims that Italian citizens traveled under the guise of hunting trips. They used networks linked to Serbian security services allegedly and logistical support from companies in former Yugoslavia. Among the evidence cited is the 2022 documentary, which explores the disturbing phenomenon of war tourists who are wealthy foreigners who allegedly paid to shoot civilians during that siege. The investigation also seeks to verify potential links with Italian intelligence at the time, which were reportedly informed about the presence of these armed Italians, but did not act. The inquiry could potentially uncover one of the darkest and most shocking episodes of foreign involvement during that war. And for our next story, we are focusing on the anger on the streets in Serbia, where thousands of protesters circled the former army headquarters over a new law to speed its conversion into a luxury compound, reportedly leased to an investment company founded by Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, allegedly. The rally in the capital added to a spate of anti-government protests. In fact, these are against the move taken by the government, triggered by the collapse a year ago of a railway station roof that killed 16 people. Many Serbs see the old headquarters, which were damaged in a 1999 NATO bombing campaign during the Kosovo conflict, as a tribute to those who died and a monument to Yugoslav-era modernist architecture. And they oppose the signing of that 99-year lease deal with that company last year. Some opposition politicians argued that the legislation was unconstitutional, but the governing majority approved it without amendments, saying it was crucial for good ties with the US. The demonstration took place in Belgrade against the planned demolition of the former army headquarters to make way for that luxury hotel complex that Jared Kushner reportedly wants to build. This comes at a time when a president there is already battling widespread protests since that deadly railway station disaster in November last year that many Serbians blame on corruption. Switching gears, after receiving a 12-minute ovation at the Venice Film Festival early this year, the Wizard of the Kremlin is heading for a theatrical release. Celebrated Hollywood actor Jude Law has completely transformed into Russian President Vladimir Putin for the upcoming film. Set in Russia in the early 90s, the move is a fictionalized account of Putin's rise to power in the 1990s and is based on Italian-Swiss author's novel of the same name. The film essentially revolves around spin doctor Vadim Baranov, played by Paul Dano. It is a fictional character loosely inspired by the Russian politician Vladislav Surkov. Now, focusing on Putin's journey in post-Soviet Russia, the movie basically dramatizes his power consolidation from the 1990s onwards. The filmmaker, who is known for backing psychological thrillers, has united with the screenwriter and novelist Emmanuel to bring the story to the big screen. And interestingly, the movie opened to a thunderous response when it premiered in August this year. The makers have now released a trailer offering fans a glimpse of the world of the Wizard of the Kremlin. The film also stars other big stars. The film is scheduled to release on the 21st of January next year. Jude Law, who underwent a significant physical transformation for that role, had addressed the film's theme earlier. The actor stated that it was a nuanced and considerate portrayal and not seeking any controversy. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Monica Ampere, signing off. Thanks for watching.
जंगल राज वालों ने सत्याग्रह की इस पुण्य भूमि को डकैतों का गढ़ बना दिया था।
लालू जी अपने बेटे को मुख्यमंत्री बनाना चाहते और सोनिया जी अपने बेटे को प्रधानमंत्री बनाना चाहते।
20 साल एनडीए को मौका मिला, तेजस्वी को केवल 20 महीने ही दीजिए।
अगर आप कहोगे नरेंद्र मोदी जी आप ऐसा ड्रामा करो वोट के लिए, वो कर देंगे। लालू नीतीश मोदी तीनों चल गए तो कौन बचा?
राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
The biggest factor being the trail of the car that exploded here last evening, the Hyundai i20 in question.
All those responsible will be brought to justice.
Sources say that the trio of doctors are believed to have frequently interacted. The police raided this place and recovered the explosive material along with the ammunition.
Now the investigators are picking up the pieces. More details are trickling in.